I never planned to trust him so deeply. At first, he was just someone I talked to when my days felt heavy. Someone who listened. Someone who asked how I was really feeling. That alone felt rare. We met during a time when my life was quiet but painful. I smiled on the outside, but inside, I felt lonely. I carried many thoughts I never shared with anyone. Then he came into my life, slowly, gently, like a warm light in a dark room. He knew how to talk to me. He remembered small details. He noticed when my replies were shorter than usual. He said things like, "You don't have to be strong all the time." Those words stayed with me. Day by day, our conversations grew longer. We talked about our dreams, our fears, our past. I told him things I had never told anyone before. I told him about my pain, my mistakes, my hopes. I trusted him with my thoughts, my tears, and my heart. And he welcomed all of it. He made me feel safe. He made me feel seen. He made me feel like I mattered. I remember thinking, maybe this is what connection feels like. He promised he would stay. He said he was different. He said he would never disappear without a word. I believed him. I trusted him with my time. I trusted him with my emotions. I trusted him with my truth. I rearranged my days just to talk to him. I waited for his messages. His words became part of my routine, part of my comfort. When I was tired, he was there. When I doubted myself, he lifted me up. When I felt broken, he told me I was enough. Slowly, my walls came down. I didn't notice when my happiness started to depend on his presence. I didn't notice how deeply I was attached. All I knew was that he felt important to me, too important. I thought we were building something real. I thought we were moving forward together. I thought trust meant safety. I had no idea that the same hands that held my heart would one day let it fall. At that time, I couldn't imagine a world where he was gone. I believed in his words. I believed in his promises. I believed in him, and that belief would change everything. At first, the change was small, so small that I told myself I was imagining it. His replies came slower. His messages were shorter. The warmth in his words began to fade. I asked myself, is he busy? I told myself to be patient. I didn't want to seem needy or dramatic, but my heart noticed before my mind accepted it. He stopped asking about my day. He stopped checking in like he used to. Sometimes, he read my messages and didn't reply at all. The silence hurt more than any harsh word. I waited. I refreshed my phone again and again. I stared at the screen, hoping to see his name appear. Nothing. When he finally replied, he said things like, "Sorry, I was busy," or "I didn't see your message." I believed him. I wanted to believe him. Trust makes you excuse what your heart already knows is wrong. I tried to stay calm. I tried to stay understanding. I tried not to ask too many questions. But the distance kept growing. The conversations that once flowed easily now felt forced. I was the one starting them. I was the one asking if everything was okay. I was the one holding on while he slowly let go. I began to feel confused. Did I do something wrong? Did I say something that pushed him away? Was I suddenly too much? Those thoughts lived in my head day and night. I replayed our past conversations, searching for mistakes. I changed my words, softened my tone, hid my feelings. I didn't want to lose him, so I became smaller, and he noticed, but he didn't stop. One day, I told him honestly how I felt. I said the silence hurt me. I said I missed how we used to talk. I said I needed clarity. He replied hours later. He said, "You're overthinking." He said, "Nothing has changed." He said, "You worry too much." But everything had changed. My heart felt heavy all the time. I felt anxious, waiting for replies that never came. I felt foolish for caring so much. I felt lonely, even though he was still technically there. The worst part was the uncertainty. If he had said goodbye, maybe I could understand. If he had explained, maybe I could heal. But instead, he stayed halfway. Present enough to keep me hoping, absent enough to keep me hurting. I still trusted him. I still believed he wouldn't disappear. I didn't know that this silence was the beginning of his exit, and I was standing at the edge of a goodbye I didn't see coming. The silence became normal, and that was the scariest part. I woke up every day hoping today would be different, hoping he would message me first, hoping he would ask how I was. Most days he didn't. Still, I stayed. I adjusted my expectations. I told myself not to expect too much. I told myself love should be patient. But deep inside, I knew I was slowly disappearing. I stopped sharing my feelings. I stopped talking about my fears. I stopped being honest about how much I was hurting. I didn't want to push him away, so I pretended everything was okay. When he replied late, I said nothing. When he ignored my messages, I blamed myself. When he changed, I told myself to understand. I became quiet. I watched him become distant while I stayed emotionally available. I waited for someone who was no longer walking toward me. I held on to memories while he moved forward without me. Sometimes, he was warm again. Just enough to pull me back. Just enough to remind me of what we used to be. And every time, I felt hope rise again. That hope kept me trapped. I forgot what I deserved. I forgot how I used to laugh freely. I forgot how strong I was before him. My mood depended on his replies. If he talked to me, my day felt lighter. If he didn't, everything felt heavy. That was when I realized how much power I had given him over my heart. I trusted him with everything. And in doing so, I lost myself. I began to feel tired, not just physically, but emotionally. Loving him felt like chasing someone who didn't want to be caught. I asked him again if something was wrong. I needed honesty. I needed truth. I needed reassurance. He said, "I'm just busy. Stop thinking too much." Those words made me feel small. My feelings felt unimportant. My pain felt invisible. I started questioning my worth. I wondered why I wasn't enough to be chosen fully. I stayed silent again. I didn't realize that staying silent was teaching him how to treat me. I was teaching him that my pain didn't need answers, and he learned that lesson well. At night, I cried quietly. I held my phone, reading old messages where he said he cared. I wondered how someone could change so completely without explanation. I felt alone, even though I wasn't supposed to be. That's when I understood something painful. I was still holding on, but he had already let go. I just didn't know it yet. There was no warning, no goodbye, no explanation. One day, I woke up and checked my phone like I always did. I sent him a message, a simple one, something normal, something safe. He didn't reply. Hours passed. Then a full day. Then another. I told myself not to panic. I told myself he would answer soon. He always did, even if it was late. But this time felt different. The silence felt heavier, deeper. I checked his profile. Still there, but unreachable. I sent another message. Still nothing. That was when fear turned into pain. I replayed our last conversations. I searched for signs. I wondered if I had said something wrong. I wondered if I had finally become too much. The truth hurt more than the questions. He didn't disappear because he couldn't reply. He disappeared because he chose not to. Days passed. I waited, even when I knew I shouldn't. I stared at my phone, hoping for a message that never came. My heart felt like it was breaking slowly, piece by piece. I felt foolish. How could someone who knew my deepest fears leave without a word? How could someone who promised to stay vanish so easily? I trusted him with everything. I trusted him with my pain. I trusted him with my truth. I trusted him with my heart. And he left me with silence. I didn't get closure. I didn't get answers. I didn't even get a goodbye. Just emptiness where his words used to be. The hardest part wasn't that he left. It was that he didn't care enough to explain. I questioned my worth. I questioned my judgment. I questioned everything I believed about us. I felt replaced, forgotten, erased. At night, the memories hurt the most. The laughter, the late talks, the promises, all of it felt unreal, like a story that ended without an ending. I learned that silence can be cruel. It leaves wounds you cannot see. It leaves questions that echo in your mind. I realized something painful. Someone who truly cares does not disappear. That day I felt abandoned. Not just by him, but by the version of myself that believed in him so completely. But even in that pain, something inside me began to change. I didn't know it yet, but his disappearance was about to teach me a lesson I would never forget. After he disappeared, everything felt quiet, too quiet, the kind of silence that hurts your chest and makes it hard to breathe. At first, I kept waiting. I told myself maybe he would come back, maybe he would explain, maybe he would say sorry. Hope is dangerous when there are no answers. Days turned into weeks. I checked my phone less, but my heart still waited. I wondered if he ever thought about me. I wondered if I ever mattered as much to him as he did to me. Slowly, the truth became clear. Someone who leaves without a word is not confused. They are decided. That realization hurt, but it also freed me. I stopped blaming myself. I stopped replaying every conversation. I stopped asking what I could have done differently. His disappearance was not my failure. It was his choice. I began to see things clearly. I gave honesty. I gave loyalty. I gave patience and understanding. And he gave silence. I learned that love should not make you feel anxious all the time. It should not make you feel small. It should not make you question your worth. I started taking my power back. I focused on healing. Some days were good. Some days were heavy. Healing is not straight. It comes in waves. But I kept moving forward. I learned to sit with my emotions instead of running from them. I let myself cry without shame. I let myself feel angry. I let myself feel sad. And then, slowly, I began to feel strong again. I realized I didn't lose him. He lost someone who trusted him with everything. I stopped seeing his absence as rejection. I started seeing it as protection. Anyone who can disappear without care is not someone meant to stay. I forgave him, not because he deserved it, but because I deserved peace. Most importantly, I forgave myself. For trusting, for hoping, for loving deeply. Those were never weaknesses. They were proof that my heart was real. Now, I choose myself. I choose clarity over confusion. I choose peace over waiting. I choose people who stay. This story didn't end the way I wanted, but it ended with me finding myself again. And this time, I will never abandon me.